Blender Studio LiveNoding. In this episode, I want to share the node setup that creates this kind of a scrap metal ring. This is something that can be offsetted, so it can be animated like a little bit like snakes. But this is basically a little bit just like a pipe. It's basically like a ring along path that you can offset. And we have control over the radius, so there's a few things, but yeah, it's basically like it's generating like a scrap metals. There's probably a lot of ways to do this, but anyway, I'll share you the breakdown. It's looking complicated, but basically look at the green lines, and the green lines is the main operations happening on the curve or on this object. This object is originally actually just the default cube. There's two modes that this thing can operate. So the first one is kind of like deleting the edge and just simply turn it into pipe. The second one is using a circle. The other method is useful if you have like a curve, and let me delete this and draw a bunch of curve like this, and then select this and then this, Command L, copy modifier. So both of them becoming the same objects, but if you switch, you can actually draw on this guy. And you can animate the circle. Okay, so yeah, let's actually take a look inside. I started with just a curved circle actually that's being disturbed using this noise curve. If I get rid of the noise, it's basically like a circle, but I just deform it using the set position, so that should be clear. There are two modes. The first one takes just the geometry, the other one takes the curve. I already mentioned it. And I have, of course, this resample curve, and we have the count here to kind of make how many rings do we have on top of the original curve. Okay. And then the next one, we have curves to mesh and then split edges. Okay, this is because in order to use split edges, we need to convert the curve into like a polygon edge. So this is where things get interesting, because what I really want to have is, like, for example, you have like a curve like this, and you want to make like, you want to erase and delete some of the edge randomly, and then you want to offset this edge, so it's kind of like animating. This is what I did. So delete geometry, I can random delete geometry, or actually using this kind of add modulo and equal. This guy will guarantee like an equal gap. Let me try to explain this a little bit. Yeah, I want to invert. So we have this kind of like a snake that kind of moving. Each one of them have some kind of gap. This is actually very similar to grease pencil. One of the grease pencil, if I create blank grease pencil and draw something very quickly, I have to explain this. If we have grease pencil like this, and then we add this modifier called dot dash, this is basically what I'm trying to recreate. and this is the offset. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to recreate using this grease pencil. Using these geometry nodes. So maybe I just keep this grease pencil. So yeah, this is basically what's happening. So this is the gap, and this is the offset. The offset is possible because we are actually looking at the index. So when we split the edges, we actually imagine each polygon edge is becoming like separate objects. So we can easily cut the edge and create a gap. So with the gap and the split of the edge, we can simply offset offset the index using this value. So we have this kind of animating ring on top of the path. Okay, that's really basically what I want to show you. The rest of them is simply using set curve radius just to randomize, or in this case I'm using ping pong. Ping pong is more like a sine wave. You can also use random just to generate random value for each ring. So each ring, there's two ways to randomize the ring. You can randomize each rings with the same radius, so each separated edge can have different radius, or you can have like random for everything. If this random value coming from the index, you're gonna have a different result. Not this index, not the index of the instance, but the index of every point. You're gonna get a different result. You see how it's yeah, this is actually quite important. I'm using capture attributes and the index of each polygon edge instance, and this will give a different result to the index of actual points. Something to keep in mind. So look at this. You see how each one of them is a little bit like ball. But the other one, if we use the index from the capture attributes, we're gonna get equal radius for each cylinder. Okay, so yeah, set curve radius and curve to mesh. I think we can actually have like a closed cylinder like that. So it's kind of nice. There's a lot of options that you can turn on and off inside the geometry nodes. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give you the node setup. You can rebuild this yourself, or you can grab the one from SKETCHFAB. I will upload to SKETCHFAB, so you can get it from there as well if you want to, or you can build yourself. It is pretty simple. It's not complicated, but it's super useful, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I think this setup is actually getting better after I create the video and I make slight modifications. This setup can give us more control. So it's like a pipe, basically, pipe with a gap, and you can offset the gap just like a grease pencil. So grease pencil is really cool. This, I think somehow grease pencil have some kind of similar connections to the geometry nodes. And so yeah, this is the dash. Just put like a frame there, so it's gonna be animating. So this is the same thing, more or less the same thing. Okay, so yeah, hopefully you find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.